And
it says we're on.
Okay, it's here we go. And let's go back to Zoom here. All right, I think we're live. Let's see, it's now streaming live on Facebook. Perfect. We'll give people a few minutes to catch up here. As you guys are all logging on to join us, let us know where you're coming from today. Today we are coming from Toronto, and Sarah is coming from Trenton, Belleville, and Susie, you're coming from Halifax, right?
Yep.
All right.
So we're pretty much covering like the mid.
Right. We needed somebody from out west.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're all in our bathrooms.
Yeah, and I am trying really hard. I should have put aloe vera on because I realize now, as I'm sitting in the bathtub, I realize how red I got.
That's the whole reason I'm wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
I glow in the dark.
That's smart.
Who knew? But it was beautiful today.
I'm waiting to see where we're getting people in from. I know we have Thornhill, more Toronto. All right, so we're very Toronto focused right now, Ontario focused right now.
So
we managed to get Suzie in the bathroom with us though. I actually really like that we've managed to like finagle everybody to come into the bathroom now.
I think people like being in the bathroom.
I'm telling you, I think you're like more likely to have a like more open discussion because everything is on the table when you're well, okay. We have Ottawa, we have Edmonton. Amazing. Hi to Ottawa. Hello to Edmonton. Suzie, when do you move to Ottawa?
I'm the first time 2006, the second time in 2013, and now I'm about to do my third time.
When are you supposed? How many more weeks until you move?
6 weeks until I move out of here, and 10 weeks until I move back in the other place.
And you're doing an Airbnb in the meantime?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, we have somebody from Innisfil. Hello, Innisfil. All right. Oh, the rooftop in Innisfil, not just Innisfil. I feel like if you are in Innisfil or Edmonton or Ottawa or Thornhill right now, wherever you are, you should just head yourself into the bathroom because that's where the show is best received.
Grab yourself a glass of wine.
Grab yourself a glass of wine. Come get comfy. And let's ask. Okay, Rick, I know you're watching this. Should we get started? Yeah. Rick watches all the numbers and watches everything that goes on. So he's typing me right now, unless he's in the middle of a sip. Put the wine down and tell me if we should get started. Don't send me, he's sending me pictures of the rooftop in Innisfil.
That's not helping.
Okay, well, we're going to get started. I'm making an executive decision here. So welcome to everybody to the Command Post. I'm Stephanie Shapiro. I haven't had enough wine yet, but can't pronounce my name. I am the COO of the Together We Stand Foundation. I'm coming to you live from the bathroom. As you can tell, I'm not in my bathroom today. For a birthday party, and I was like, I'm just gonna sneak into your bathtub for about an hour, if you don't mind.
For 45 minutes, nothing is wrong.
Right. I don't know what they think I'm doing in here right now. They just hear voices coming from the bathroom, so I'm gonna have a lot of explaining to do. I have with us today Sarah Rozema-Seaton coming all the way from Belleville, and we have Suzie Fortin coming all the way from Halifax. So thank you both for joining us. Sarah, always a pleasure having you around, and Suzie, thank you for joining us for the first time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a new face join us today. So thank you.
I love that this started as just you one, and you haven't been able to get rid of me yet.
I know, like Sarah just sits in her bed. I think you're working from your bathroom now. Is that why you hear an echo during like all the calls every time I call you?
It's because like this is kind of like a mobile little bar area.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. Okay. So what are we talking about today? We are talking today about all the things that you wish you had known when starting off as a military family? And I feel like there's going to be a lot of loaded questions in here. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of going deep and heavy in here. So just cheers to you both before we get into this topic. And let's start with, oh, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with what you wish you had known about raising kids in the military. And go.
Okay, I will go first. I wish that I knew that my kids would go to so many different schools. So we have 3 kids. So we have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So my 15-year-old has been to 6 different schools, and she's in grade 9 because we move a lot. And that's hard. Like, it's hard for your kids to be the new kid all the time.
You know what I should have done, and I apologize, what I should have done before starting asking you questions is a little bit about your background. So Sarah, because you started, for those of us who are joining us for the first time today, I know you've done this a couple times for us, but give us the understanding of military life has been for you. How many years, how many kids, how many postings and deployments?
Okay, so I met my husband 20-ish years ago. So he's been in, no, not even that long. I met him, we've been married 17 years. I met him 19 years ago, and he's been in for 21 years. We have done 7 moves and 7 deployments. And some of those are long, some of those are short, some of them were with the US, some of them were with Canada. And we've lived I've lived in 3 different countries. So I'm originally Australian, I moved to Canada, and we've lived all over the place as well as in the US.
And well, that's a lot of life crammed into some years there. And Suzie, your numbers also almost shocked me when we spoke the other day. So how long have you been part of a military family?
Well, I was in the reserve, so I guess if you count that, 22 years. But as a spouse, I've been with my husband for 16 years, and we're going on our number 8 move, and 2 deployments
in 16 years.
Yeah.
And do they usually average out every 2 years, or did you do like back to back to back?
We did one long one in Victoria for 6 years. All the others have been 1 year or 2 years, or maximum of 3 years after. So.
And any deployments under your belt?
2, just 2 deployments. So I've been lucky, I guess, on the deployment.
Just 2. I like that. Just 2 deployments. Just
one was very long though, 8.5 months.
Now I'm getting messages. Are you guys having issues?
Yeah. Yes, we are. Okay, it says live on Facebook. Are we working? Just started again. God, you would expect a show coming live from a bathroom to be much more professional than this, guys. Okay, let's see if it's working. No.
Not working.
Are you guys having issues?
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Let's, Rick. Hello. Sorry, guys. We haven't had any technical difficulties yet. This is our first time. I'm really glad it's not the first show, but are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay, let's try this again. So, Suzie, having kids in the military, you were talking about the fact that you are Francophone, your husband is Anglophone, and that you've moved around to a whole bunch of different places.
Yeah, and for me, the language has been hard. I want them to be bilingual, but I don't want them to struggle. And from a province to another, and even sometimes within the same province, the curriculum are so different. And so yeah, it's been a challenge. You know, before was my oldest that was behind, and last year was my youngest, and you know, now we'll see, I guess. You know, I know that Ontario is a bit ahead of Nova Scotia, so there's always that guilt and that worry every time you move. They already have to be the new kid, right? So on top of it, you add language and you have difference in curriculum. So yeah.
Well, even within the same province, the curriculum isn't the same. And so as you're going from school board to school board, it's different. And then also transferring, like if your child has CR equipment, so like a computer or something else that they need to do their work, that takes time to transfer over. And sometimes, I mean, it took over 6 or 7 months when we moved to Toronto, even though the computer was there, because it needs to be hooked up to the system, it can take months.
Yeah. Having issues still, or?
We lost our host.
Sorry.
She ran away.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You know, it's my oldest has an individual learning plan, and you know, each school board and each school, you know, have a different system sometimes. So yeah,
I realize that affects you as parents in terms of the guilt that you might feel, and as you're helping your kids catch up. How does that affect your kids? What, you know, in terms of it's obvious academic, but what about emotionally? Does that impact them?
I'm sure I know it. I know it does. Like so I have two really opposite kids. So my oldest is really good at talking about feeling stress, his anxiety rising every time we have a move and shortly after. It normally gets really good under control by Christmas. And then, you know, he was really good because we were here 2 years almost. So, you know, and then it rises again when he knows he's moving. My youngest doesn't talk about anything but acts out, you know, starts waking up at night, nightmares.
How old are your kids, Suzie?
9 and 11.
9 and 11. Yeah.
Just turned 9, my youngest. And so it's very different for him. And he's not going to say, oh, it's nothing, you know, it's nothing. But I know.
Right. I have a comment here. I just saw it. I just want to go back to it. I have a comment from Lisa Vaders, who's watching. She said that one of the things that she wished she'd known about parenting when joining the military life is that she didn't realize she would be doing parenting alone for so much of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something you guys can comment on.
It's definitely interesting, even, and I'm pretty sure my husband doesn't want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. So when we had 2 kids, and both of them were in daycare, and he had missed so much at that point that when he went to go pick up the kids from daycare, they ID'd him because he hadn't been home really that much in a year. So I think that's hard on both the parent that's serving, that's away, because they're missing out on so much. And everyone's experience is different. But also it's hard because you become mom and dad and teacher and bus driver and everything else in between. And sometimes it's just, that's when you hide in the bathroom or the closet and eat chocolate and drink wine and sometimes cry.
Right. And what about you, Suzie? Have you spent a lot of the time parenting a lot by yourself?
Well, the longest deployment that I did, what was hard is not just the solo parenting, is the lack of support, where depending on where you are, like my family's all in Quebec, and I was in BC for the 8.5 months deployment. So that was really hard. I work full time as well, which doesn't help, I think. And they were in 2 different daycares because it wasn't manageable. So that was really difficult. But the second deployment, I was in Ottawa, and so it was a 6-hour drive. I could, my parents were there more. I have more friends. We have some family, like an uncle on my husband's side. So I would say that deployment was a lot easier, and also communication was a big thing, because the deployment he did with the Air Force in Kuwait, I could FaceTime with him or like Skype, you know, I could talk to him so much and see him. When he was with the Navy, 8.5 months, you talk to him for like 3 minutes or 5 minutes on a crazy line that you can't hear. It's like more frustrating than not talking to him. So that part as well is really hard, because I felt like, you know, I was really far from everybody, and I couldn't even tell him how they're doing. They couldn't see their dad.
Right.
My youngest was 1 year old, and when he came back, he was almost turning 2, right? So
They're different children.
Didn't even remember him.
Yeah.
Which was hard. Yeah. But yeah, there's good things too, but
We'll get to that. I promise. I'll ask you about some good stuff. Tell me, we've been talking a little bit about deployments. What is one thing that you both wish you had known before your first deployment?
Oh, you're asking all the loaded questions today.
I know.
one thing, only one.
I'm in someone else's bathroom today, you know?
It's nothing like the movies. And I guess, I don't know. The before part, on your first one, you really don't know. It's more, I would say, the coming home piece that no one really talks about, because it is nothing like the YouTube video. It's kind of like that in the beginning, but then you have to relearn how to co-parent, or even just working out how to, like, if you don't have kids, then how does that all work? Because a lot happens in, 4 months or 6 months or 9 months. And then, while they're gone, you rearrange the closet. It's a great time to get rid of your husband's clothes that you really don't like, because they just magically disappear. But also, like, how do things work after they get home? Like, you bought a new dinner set, or the salt and pepper is not in the same place. It's hard for them as well, because, you kind of keep moving on, and then you got to work out how to get your relationship back together again.
And okay, Suzie, so what is one thing you wish you had known before your first deployment?
Well, I think, like I said, I wish I had recorded his voice and, done some videos. I mean, back then, it's long ago, so the technology wasn't there as much, but I wish I had done more. When he came back after 5.5 months, we did the bear, build a bear. And we recorded his voice, and the boy each had their own. And that truly helped, I think. And that's why I recommend everybody to do it. And he was away for Christmas that year, and he recorded the books, that you hear the voice, and he's reading.
That's so nice.
That was awesome. Like, the ship, like, they got all free, like Hallmark just send them, and that was amazing. So I think just a way, like hearing the voice, like keeping the contact a bit more for the ship deployment, like I said. Other deployment, I would say, it's trying to keep positive for the kids. Sometimes it's hard.
That's gotta be so hard. What is one thing you wish you had known about how to help yourself stay strong during the long absences, whether deployment or training, or what is something you wish, if you could go back and give yourselves a pep talk now, knowing the amount of time that you would be by yourself, what's something you would say to yourselves?
I would say, don't beat yourself up for like perfect meals, and not drinking too much. And, like at night, sometimes you need to have your glass of wine, and don't be ashamed. Trying to cram gym and working, and I was trying to really be a superwoman, I think. And a lot of people told me I was a superwoman, and I kept saying, no, they don't eat that perfectly. You can't, it's like COVID right now, you talk to a lot of people, we all drink more, we all eat more, and, we have to find ways to cope with what we're dealing with, right?
So be kinder to yourself is
Yeah.
what okay. Sarah, what would you have told yourself? What would that pep talk look like?
I would say pick your battles. Like, there are only so many hours in a day, and Usually what I tell people is that I'm like, get a housekeeper, even if it's like one day a month, like pick whatever drives you crazy and just maybe don't throw all of your money at it, but throw a little bit of money at it. So whether it's, just having someone come in once a month or every couple of weeks just to kind of tidy up and do things, but don't be ashamed to ask for help or outsource some things that you don't like doing, because you need time for yourself too. So whether that is getting a babysitter for 2 hours and you sit at a Starbucks and read a book because that's what makes you happy, then do it. And it's okay. There's only so much that you can give of yourself to your small humans and to your friends and to your work. That if you don't kind of fill your own bucket again, then you're going to end up with an empty bucket, and you're not strong enough to help anyone.
Right. I have an interesting comment here. Meg Stu, who's watching, hi Meg, said that I do not have kids, and I find that the majority of the time that she has experiences as being a spouse, she feels quite invalidated because of the fact that she doesn't have kids. Have you guys heard that at all in your circle, in terms of families feeling like they're treated differently as a military family if they do have kids or they don't have kids?
Absolutely.
It's true. I think, yeah, when you have kids, it's one of the biggest thing when your spouse is deployed. But I have to say, I think I don't know, Sarah, if you've done, but I haven't done a deployment without kids. I haven't done I've been apart from my husband before we had kids, but not a full 6.5 months or so. I haven't done a deployment, but it's true that the spouse often say, I'm more lonely because they're alone completely, their partner or their best friend, and often they're also far from family. Right. And they're also, somewhere else, who knows? And I think the MFRC sometimes, so what was great in the Navy one that I did in BC, it was amazing. Once a month we had free daycare, and then the spouse would go into a room and we talk with the ship. And the spouse at that point they were happy because we were all basically spouse, like women or men, but there was no kids, the kids were getting babysat. So I think they felt a bit more integrated in those occasions. And when we did the big party at the half mark, well, which moved 3 times, but anyway, we did a big party and it was just, again, no kids. So, but I think we need to do a better job at including them and making them feel they're going through similar thing as we are,
Right.
Absolutely.
I would imagine that a lot of the service, I get the impression that a lot of the services while a spouse is on deployment is tailored to, or not just on deployment, but MFRCs or family services are tailored towards families who have young children. I know that one of the families that we met out, I can't remember if it was when we were in Esquimalt or in Edmonton, they felt that because they didn't have children, the events that were on the base, where they could ride in planes, or they could, they would have these family celebrations. They were very, if you didn't have a 9-year-old child to come with you, you kind of felt out of place. So I wonder how it is, sorry, Sarah, I wonder how it is that those services can be amped up for families who it sounds like we need better services for families without children and male spouses, because I heard a lot of the services are really targeted towards female spouses.
Yes.
I think it's very hard for male spouses. There's actually a really good friend of mine, and he was the spouse of a serving member. And we used to chat all the time. And he's like, you're my military support system, because I don't feel like I want to go to coffee group or wine and chat. And it would just be awkward because I'm a guy, and I don't want to go to bachelorette night because that's not my thing. So absolutely, I think that there's definitely a need. I think there's also so that the MFRCs particularly they're supposed to be needs based. So if people aren't going to things, then the programs stop. So maybe that's another piece. Not that I'm not saying that but the people that don't have kids have to fix their own problem or anything like that. But, maybe voice your opinion, like ask the MFRCs, because the more they get asked, the more they will stop providing some of those.
I'm here too. Don't forget about it.
Like I'm here, and I know that some of them have like, when we're in Ottawa, they did a Le Nordique spa day and anyone could go, but there was a lot more of families that didn't have kids. They went and they had lunch and they had a spa treatment and they got to sit in the pools, which is just delightful. So maybe, saying that you want these programs is a way to start bringing those programs.
Right. So voice it. Yeah. It seems that military families, in a sense, have to be their own advocates, that the services are not necessarily readily available, and that you kind of need to, it's a bit of a squeaky wheel thing, that you need to make your voices heard in order to get the services.
I think it's almost like people assume, and this happens within the military too, that a military family looks a certain way, but it doesn't. It's such a cross section of what normal civilian society is. It's just in a smaller group. So I think we need to stop thinking that military families look like, serving member and stay-at-home mom and 2 kids, because there's working mom, there's dual service couples, there's female member and male spouse. Like, we don't look all the same.
That's right. Meg, if you are still watching, Meg, reach out to us after this show, because I'd love to talk to you, because maybe we'll get you on here and we can get, we've had Suzie, and we've had Sarah, and we've had Monica, and we've had Kim, and everyone has their own experience, but it just happens to be that all of them have been mothers so far and living military life with children. So Meg, get a hold of me and we will get you on here and we can talk to the families that don't necessarily have children and what that looks like. So please do that. Let's go on to, what is one thing you wish you had known about house hunting during posting season?
Oof. Not in COVID or in COVID?
Oh my God. Let's say not in COVID, because I don't know what you say about house hunting during posting season during the coronavirus.
Well, it's hard to agree. My husband and I both have very strong opinion, and I'm not afraid to share how I feel about a house. So, and each places has their own challenge. Like Victoria was very, very expensive. And I didn't have a job right away. So we went in a PMQ first. And for me, it was really difficult, but we saved, and then we looked for a house for a long time. But I guess house hunting, when you have 7 days and, you don't know how long you're going to be in the house, you have to think of resale. For me, it's always resale. Like, can I sell this? Can I sell it quick? Is it going to? So, I have a list, and I prepare far ahead in advance. I'm on MLS like constantly, and Viewpoint here in Halifax is amazing. In Nova Scotia, it's the best app. So I guess it's also to, my husband and I, we just figured this out in this 7th house together, because he said, I'm just going to say yes or no. And in the end, you're going to pick within the yes. So he said yes to 4 houses, and I got to pick this one, and it worked out well. But it's the first time, because before it was like, oh yeah, but this and school. And again, when you have kids, like schools is a big consideration for us, right? And then language, do they have French immersion? Do they have, because different provinces don't have the same services. So, but yeah, so I love that we did this, that he said yes or no, and then I picked the house, because I'm the one who takes the house and makes it a home. So
That's right. Okay, Sarah, what's one thing you wish you had known about house hunting during posting season?
Pre-book your house inspection and your lawyer, even though you don't know where you're living, and they all love that. And make sure you're really, really clear with your real estate agent. So I have a spreadsheet, because I'm a little insane, and we have our day 1, day 2, day 3 houses, and we have our real estate agent book all of the showings. And pretty much I can tell now walking into the front door whether it's my house. And some of our agents were like, I walk in, I'm like, nope, this is not it. Let's go. They're like, but you haven't even seen. I'm like, no, this is it. So we actually bought the house that we're in now in less than 45 minutes. We walked in, we're like, okay, and we're good. Let's go, write her up. So you like the more places you go, especially when you go to the same places again, you kind of already know. Toronto was probably the hardest to find.
Both of you had such negative Toronto experiences. I'm embarrassed to be in Toronto. Like, I feel so bad.
I won't even tell you what my poor real estate agent, I swear. I'm really sorry if you're listening. I wanted to quit. he probably wanted to quit because I'm like, oh no, grandma's wallpaper, and I'm pretty sure someone just died in here. Let's go. So
terrible houses and so expensive, and it's thankfully though it's just a rental. So for me, we rented twice. We rented in Montreal and we rented in Toronto. When it's a rental, I'm a lot more chill. You know, I mean, it's a rental. It's a year or 2 or 3 max.
I have a tip here from Finch. Finch says, buy a smaller house in a more desirable neighborhood close to a base. The bigger the place, the harder it will be to sell.
that's true.
So that's interesting. Thank you, Finch, for that tip. That's a really good tip. So now I want to ask you on the back end of that, what is something you wish you had known about selling a house during posting season?
Don't sell it while your husband's deployed because you may drink a lot of wine.
Well, but as long as you're getting a good price, it doesn't matter how much wine you're drinking.
Well, this one, the last one that we sold, so like not the last posting, but the posting before. I need a whiteboard of all the postings that we've done.
Yeah.
I listed and sold that house while my husband was up in alert, which is really difficult when you need 2 people to sign the paperwork, even though I had power of attorney to sell. I did sell his car. That's a whole story. But it's challenging when you've got people who want to know an answer right away and you're having to negotiate that yourself. And yeah, that was not fun.
And Suzie, you just sold a house.
But I cannot say it was so easy this time. Like I said, like I had everything clean. He left for BC to visit family with my youngest. I went to my parents in Saguenay for a week with my oldest and my dog because the house was clean. And I said, and they booked like 10 showing in that first day, but then COVID started. So then I sold that one first day. So, and he signed everything digitally in BC. So we were lucky this time.
But it hasn't always been like that when you've been selling houses.
No, we lost a lot of money in Victoria, and he was gone for 8.5 months, and he was told, maybe you're posted, maybe. And then he's on the middle of his leave after his crazy deployment. And then they said, you need to come in, you know, and they needed to talk to him. And then we got the message. And then I was like, okay, so just got back. And we have like 2 weeks to get the house ready on the market and go on a house hunting trip. And the market was really, really crashed at that time in 2013. It was really bad. And so, yeah, that was so stressful. We were lucky in a sense that we sold, like we lost a lot, but we sold just before a house hunting trip. We delayed the house hunting trip as much as we could because, you know, the house was so expensive. We couldn't really afford to have 2. And yeah, so that was the worst hunting trip because I think we had just lost so much money and the houses in Ottawa were expensive. Well, we thought it was expensive. And we couldn't agree, and yeah, we went everywhere. We didn't know. Ottawa is so difficult. I mean, it's like Toronto too is difficult, but you know, it's such a big area out west, in the south, in the east, and then you can go on Gatineau side. So So yeah, it was difficult. There's buildings, military building all over the place.
Right.
And you don't know if you'll be posted within the same geographical region and have to drive an hour or have to drive 15 minutes. And so that's a big deal. And I work too, so unfortunately we have to both figure out for both job and the kids' school. So
And you have 7 days to do this all in.
7 days.
I have a tip here. My CEO Rick is sending me a message saying that Sue is watching, and Sue says about house hunting: take your time and do your research. Don't settle. But then Rick wants to know: is Sue talking about houses or marriage? So maybe both. Take your time, don't settle. I mean, I made a pretty split decision when it came to my husband, so it's worked out so far, and we've kind of done the same with houses. So, you know, you got to live a little. Tell me guys about, you know, I would imagine there's some good here somewhere. Tell me about traveling the country, being posted to so many different places across the country. Sorry, and I should preface that with what you wish you had known about, you know, knowing that you're going to travel the country.
I love all of the people that we've met. So it's one of the biggest blessings to all of this is that I have friends all around the world. So, and we've been posted with people like who are on exchange too. So we've got friends in Singapore, and some of the most amazing people I've met are in Oklahoma, and they love leaving Starbucks on your doorstep when you're going through a deployment, and they are just lovely. But you end up meeting all of these people that bring so much to your life too. And then you get to see them at different stages. Like we're now in the stage, not during COVID, but that, you know, my husband's not on trips all the time, that I can actually go and see them, like jump on a plane without my children and see them. And that's just wonderful. Like there's all these people that make up so many stories of your life. And I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't, you know, married someone in the military.
I love that. And Suzie, what about you for traveling?
I totally agree. It's a privilege to have been to every provinces in this country. I haven't been posted out, we tried many times and we just can't get it. So I haven't been outside the country on postings. But no, I agree with you. I love everywhere. I try to focus on the positive everywhere. Each places, there's things I'm gonna miss and things I'm super happy to leave behind. So every places, but it's through the people is really what makes this bearable and amazing. And you know, I just found out one of our couple or super good friends are posted to Ottawa, so it's like, yay, you know, like, so every time you kind of, sometimes you get to meet back some of the people you've met 1 or 2 or 3 postings ago, and it's like, oh, where have you been? Well, I've been there and I've been there, and oh, I've been this East Coast, you went west, I went east, and oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and yeah, it's great experience, and the country is beautiful. We have such an amazing country, and like the East Coasters, they're just so nice. I'm gonna miss the friendliness. You know, Toronto was not super friendly to me, but we had amazing.
I need to start introducing you to some nicer people here. I swear, we're a lot nicer, and the houses are okay in certain areas.
I know you don't look like a real Torontonian.
You did not see
we
my.
don't all randomly sit and do Zoom calls in our bathtub, but you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up, but I have one more question that I want to end up with. What is one thing you wish you could go back and tell your spouse about being part of a military family?
I'm gonna let you go first, Suzie.
Oh, I'm like, first, Sarah. I don't know. I think I cannot say. My husband is I think it took him a long time. It's true. If I could go back at the beginning and say, just, you know, be thankful that I'm your spouse, because it's not everybody. It's not for everybody, you know. I think I'm you know, I've been really good to him in the sense that I've never wanted to say no for his career, even though we said no sometimes, but it didn't work out. But just be thankful and that's it. I think he is now. But if I could tell him that 16 years ago, and it's a great adventure. Like I that's what I just say. Let's get on another adventure every posting.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that. And Sarah, what would you say to Rosie at the beginning of all of this?
In the beginning of all of this, I mean, oh my goodness. Probably, well, this is to kind of anyone, is that, I mean, we started out this adventure with we lived apart for the beginning of it. I lived in Australia, he lived in Canada. Who knew we could make this work? But I think the biggest thing is, whether it's to Rosie or to, which is my husband's nickname, or to anyone else, is that you have to work as a team, and it's not always roses. And that's the biggest piece to all of this, is you've got to learn how to compromise and get through the tough stuff. And I think one of the things we've taught each other is we've always, in any relationship or even between us, we fight fair. So don't say things that you don't mean, and know that as long as you support each other and you've got to kind of do this give and take, that you'll get through it. And it will maybe not be the adventure that you originally thought it was, but it will be pretty amazing.
I love that. That's great. Well, thank you both. Thank you sincerely, both of you. I asked you some really tough questions tonight and you didn't shy away from them. I don't know if you had a little bit of liquid courage, but I am super grateful to the both of you. Thank you all for watching. Those of you who joined us tonight, whether it was your first time or your fourth time, as this happens to be our fourth show, tune in for us next week. We're going to be having a panel of guests, and we're going to be doing a Never Have I Ever show. So join us for that. I'm sure it will be hilarious. And all of you have a great night. Bye, guys. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Susie.
Bye.
Bye.